Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Usually when you tune into my channel, you see a colorful album jacket sitting here in the iconic Blanco glass blocks. Not today, because today the jacket's rather plain, but the music inside is not as plain. It comes in a plain white jacket like this. And I'm going to give you a clue, even though you already clicked on the thumbnail and you know what it is. It is a follow-up release to this in the Definitive Sound series. So the Definitive Sound series, one-step series. This is R.E.M, Chronic Town and Murmur. And if you go back and watch my video review of this, it was a rave. And anyone that got this raved about it too. I don't think I saw any dissenting opinion on this. It's beautiful. Chris Bellman mastered this, cut from the original master tape, and it was absolutely wonderful. I think it sold out very quickly. Well, today we have the follow-up to Murmur, and it's called Reckoning. You know, the Definitive Sound series, in my case, could be called the Discovery Sound series, because I don't know what I was doing when these records came out. I guess I was in college or fresh out of college. I should have been listening to R.E.M, but to me it seemed like music for a slightly younger demographic. And for some reason I never listened to R.E.M back in the day. Well, my first exposure to Murmur was a revelation, as you'll see in that video. I absolutely loved the R.E.M sound, and I was so surprised and I can't believe I didn't pay attention to that record when it came out. What I like about the R.E.M sound is, well, overall, it's the inventive construction of the song. So I love how they establish something with a verse, and then there's a little twisted bridge that gives you a little lift, and then a chorus. And that little device they use a lot throughout their albums. And it's just fascinating to me to feel the progression, the mood, the lift, and all this going on in sometimes a 3-minute song. Great songwriting, interesting vocal presence, and of course, passion. Michael Stipes is a wonderful vocalist for this kind of music. And I love how the vocals are sort of atmospheric. They're not always upfront and clear. They kind of blend in with the sound. And then you get that wonderful sense of depth with the background vocals sort of floating behind it. It's an interesting touch, and it seems to be something that R.E.M favors as part of their sound. The other thing, of course, and it can't be overlooked, it's the first thing people notice, is the chiming guitars or jangling guitar sound. That's very reminiscent of the Byrds, as they say. And it is, but it's taken that influence and put it in a modern context. And in the case of Reckoning, there is a different mood over Murmur, and this is how I see it. Murmur is a bit more atmospheric. It has a little bit more moodiness to it, different tempos throughout, but all those trademarks that I told you, the melodic shifts, the interesting bridges, the atmospheric vocals, the jangling guitar sound are there. On Reckoning, though, as soon as it opens up with Harbor Coat, you feel a more energetic kind of production. So it's grabbing you right away with its big drum sound, all the flourishes, of course, that I've just talked about, but it has an urgency and drive to it that Murmur doesn't have. Now, that doesn't mean one is better than the other. I actually slightly prefer the atmospherics of Murmur, but this offers something different, and it's a pleasure to listen to. The big drum sound, the chiming guitars, It's a little more compact feeling than Murmur, I'd say. Murmur seemed to have spread out a little bit more. This is more going this way. So there is depth in the vocals, the guitars, the drum sound, of course, the cymbals. There's enough depth there and enough width as well, but it doesn't feel quite as uh, like a big spread like Murmur did. And it's intentional. This is meant to be a driving kind of propulsive record, and it succeeds in that count. As soon as it opens with Harbor Coat, you understand everything that this record is going to provide. That's followed by Seven Chinese Brothers. I want to comment on the third track, South Central Rain. I'm Sorry. This track reminded me that I had heard it somewhere in the past, not on a proper stereo system, but it was released as a single. So it was around to hear. And hearing it today on this one step, oh man, it was so beautiful. Really, really beautiful, impassioned vocal, colorful flourishes all throughout, beautiful guitar layering and sound, the, powerful drum sound. It was beautifully balanced all throughout, and just a joy to hear. But I got to say, on the first side, Pretty Persuasion took my breath away. This track has everything that I love about R.E.M. Wonderful atmospheric vocal, gorgeous guitars and layered guitar sound. Most importantly, those melodic hooks and breaks and movement. So, they'll introduce the verse and then a little twisted like bridge and then into the joyous chorus. So that keeps your interest throughout the record. It's just going like this over and over and grabbing you and pulling you in. Wonderful. The fifth track on side one is called Time After Time. That one shifts a bit into a slower hypnotic tempo with insistent drums and a little bit more drawn out vocal. It's an interesting way to close the album and probably a welcome relief after the 1, 2, 3, 4 punch of the first side. The second side reestablishes that energy and propulsion with Second Guessing. Very short track, 2 minutes and 51 seconds of exhilaration. That's followed by Letter Never Sent. I love that as well. Camera, a little more change in atmosphere. Very, very beautiful. And Don't Go Back to Rockville, kind of got a folk rock feel, get that little Byrds influence there. And it closes with Little America, which kind of pulls everything together and ends on a grand finale. There's actually an interesting little coda that I didn't hear the first time around because I lifted the needle as soon as Little America faded out. But there's a little fragment that comes back. And it's just another thing, another little pleasure among many in this record. The test pressing was pressed on VR900-D2 vinyl. I guess I should just call this Neotech vinyl. It's such a complicated name. You can see through it. It was silent. It was beautiful. If this is any indication of the pressing quality that you're going to get on the one step, which I'm sure it will be, you're in for silent surfaces and maximum revelation of low-level detail. That's a given. This is my favorite vinyl formulation going right now. Chris Bellman. Chris Bellman is the right person for this. He did a marvelous job on the first R.E.M. record, and the same here. I think he should be the go-to for rock records, honestly. Chris Bellman just has an ear for rock music, and it's so evident when you hear this. One thing that surprised me about this is the drum sound. It just kind of punched, like with great dynamic impact and a force that really kind of surprised me right off from the first track. What I like about Chris's mastering also is there's no tendency to emphasize things like give you a little treble boost, give you a bass boost. No, he doesn't work that way. He draws things out in an elegant way. It feels like a rock record, but it doesn't have hash. It doesn't have, sizzling top end, which is great. What it has is clarity and detail, and that's so important for those chiming guitars. Those are up, the peaks of those are up here, and it tickles your ear for sure. As you go down into the mid band, you have, actually there's some organ in there, very subtle, or keyboards. Of course, you have the body of the guitars, the vocal. That's where the magic mid-range is on this, and it's wonderful. And then the weight of the record is just about perfect to me. I like a warm feeling in the bass, and you get a very organic kind of presentation from top to bottom. And that is the biggest compliment I can pay to this mastering. It's cut all analog from the master tape. So that's a hot topic in the vinyl community these days, and you can be assured that this was done that way. Overall, an impressive record, a wonderful discovery for me. I'd love to know or hear from people that were there at that time and went from Murmur to Reckoning and what they thought about it. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.